Hello everybody, my name is Cookie, and welcome to the grand final of this season of the Frostbite League. I am your commissioner, and first off I want to say thank you very much for watching the tournament so far. We've had so many awesome weeks of competition, showcasing the talent of our regions, Oceania and Southeast Asia. I'm very glad to see all the support we got, not just in our region, but overseas. Me and the staff have put a lot of work into this, and I'm very glad to see that we're at the end and it's basically a finished product. The grand finals are about to start very shortly, but before that, we've actually got both our teams in the voice channel right now. Do you guys want to say hi?
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
So this is this is Melbourne Vortex and Sydney Cyclones, the two teams that have made it all the way to the end of this league. And they're all here because we have something very special to announce today. Something that may just raise the stakes. Hayden, would you like to take it away?
Thank you, Cookie. So, Splatoon has been a life-changing thing for me, and it's made me who I am today. And I want to see this community grow as well. So, teams. I've done some thinking over the past couple of weeks. Some of you are aware might have actually gave some money behind. Well, I decided to raise the stakes, and I mean a lot. So I decided to invest in some Frostbite shares and give you guys actually donated $200 added $200 to the prize pool. So no pressure, but yeah, but I really want to see this community grow since Nintendo didn't want to invest in us. So I'm taking it upon myself to actually push it a little bit further. So thank you guys, as well as thank you, Cookie, for starting such a big tournament, and we hope to start another season sometime in the future.
No worries, man. Thank you very much. So in case you didn't catch that, that means first place today is getting $400 prize pool, as opposed to the $200 that was previously announced, which means the stakes of this grand finals has skyrocketed, doubled, in fact. Second place is still getting the $100 prize pool from before, but now there's even more incentive to come first place. So I hope you guys are excited for what's about to come. This is going to be a crazy match. We're going to start the set a little bit later than 7, so these teams have a little bit of time to get ready, because I just learned this at the same time as you guys. But thanks for joining us in this channel, guys. Melbourne Vortex and Sydney Cyclones, good luck. Feel free to go into your VCs and get ready. That's all from me. I'm going to hand off to our lovely casters today, FLC and DJam, who are going to introduce the teams and the counter picks for you. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome on in to the Frostbite League Finals. What a way to start off the... There's so much to go into. Like, what? You got money and a lot of that on the line, and wow. All of this leads up to this moment. FLC, what do you think these two teams are going to be bringing in today? Ow.
I didn't press the button. Sorry. Yeah, so this is a match that is 5 weeks of league play in the making, and I mean these guys have been improving and working on their strats this whole time, and I think especially for these two teams who have shown a lot of growth throughout the season, this is going to be an incredible matchup that you guys are not going to want to miss.
Absolutely. So in case you're blind, deaf, or have been missing out on, so much of the action that's been happening out, we're going to be seeing Melbourne Vortex against the Sydney Cyclones. So on the Melbourne Vortex, we do have, we've got Ice Clear, we've got J-Splat, we've got A, we've got Nex, Drago, and Voided Putter. And the side of Sydney Cyclones, we got Kojuk, we have Link, we've got Mars, we've got MGJ, we've got Lumi, we've got Kazaz, and these players, they're all strong in their own right, and especially after all of the events they've gone through up to this point. Like, yeah, at the start, you might still be figuring out how do we work together in this playstyle, but now, after all these weeks of games and all this development, these teams are entirely different from how they were week one.
It's absolutely right. In the first couple of weeks, in fact, of regular season play, Sydney, one of our finalists here, was actually kind of not doing so hot. They had a couple of rough games, and it took them a while to sort of sort themselves out. But now here they are. They went on a massive hot streak. They started winning a lot of their series 4-0. They had a huge win over Manila in the semifinals, and here they are. And now they're up against Melbourne, who, I mean, they've been absolutely tearing through the league this whole time, and Melbourne as well. I mean, you talk about how these teams have developed. A lot of the strength of Melbourne as a team actually comes from some of their sort of lesser known players. Like, we obviously know that Nex is probably the top Australian player right now, but it's actually been the aggressive duo of Ice Clear and J Splat, two relatively unknown players who have been carrying this team forward. And this finals is actually going to come down very much to how well some of these lesser known players are able to actually push their teams over the line.
Yeah, and something that's really interesting to me is that Melbourne Vortex, they actually lost against Sydney Cyclones week 2 of the leading up weeks to this, but that was obviously when they're still learning their places. And now going into this, Sydney Cyclones, they've really got their groove down together. As you said, they got so many 4-0s, they got so many just straight shots. They're an entirely different team from what they were when they initially went up against Melbourne.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think you can see that absolutely in just the weapon selection. During the first couple of weeks, Sydney, like, you could tell from the weapons they were picking. Like, we had Mars, for example, who is an absolute beast with a Tetra, but she was actually picking a lot of Splash back in the first couple of weeks. We had a bit of experimentation with things like Stamper. We had some experimentation with things like Tent and all that sort of stuff. But now I think a lot of the Sydney players have actually solidified their roles on the team, and you can expect them to have a much more solid game plan going forwards.
Yeah, especially with the increased use of the tactical special. Obviously, we saw that get a massive buff in the last major update, and through the last patch, which we'll dive into a bit more how this might change some of these plays in a bit. People really utilizing how much the tactical has enhanced, particularly with some of the ballpoint inkjet plays that have been very consistent against this version. I'm definitely curious to see how this develops, especially now that we've had some changes in version 4.1.
Yeah, so this newest patch is actually going to change this game quite a lot, because both of these teams actually are definitely big beneficiaries of this patch. So both teams have Splattershot players, and Splattershot stocks are absolutely on the rise. We've had changes to NZAP as well, and I think both teams are going to be leaning heavily into the NZAP and the Tacticooler, as you mentioned. And of course, the ballpoint that both teams have been picking, actually, the Inkjet getting a bit nerfed. And so we might see maybe some leaning toward maybe Jet Squad to Charger, like that kind of stuff. Especially, like, we've got Inkvac being buffed. Don't know how much we're going to see that, but who knows? But yeah, so, like, both teams are absolutely I don't think it fundamentally changes the way these teams play. I think it's basically just going to be the same but better.
Yeah, and now that we're starting to get set up for our first game of the evening, we're going to be going first over into Rainmaker on Museum di Alfonsino. Now, we've known, obviously, the ballpoint, yes, it's got a bit of a nerf, but ballpoint really, especially with the inkjet, you can make a lot of control on this stage, especially with Rainmaker.
Yeah, you absolutely can. This is one of those stages where, because of that giant open area in the middle of the map, a lot of the longer range weapons, things like ballpoint and as well E-liter, are a lot more common. Now, we actually see that we've got... So normally when Melbourne plays Rainmaker, they actually substitute A out. And the fact that she's playing actually probably means that they're going to be picking... actually, both teams have their anchors in this game. So we're going to be seeing a lot of long-range action going into this first map.
Indeed we go. Here we are. We are at the finals. Game 1. Rainmaker, Museum del Alfonsino. Let's see what these two teams bring to the first game.
Okay, and starting off, we've got, on the Melbourne side, we've got Nex playing the NZAP, we've got A playing the Ballpoint, Para playing his tried and true Splash-O-Matic, and J-Splat on his J-Shot. Meanwhile, on the purple side of Sydney, we've got Link playing his classic Sloshing Machine. We've got an NZAP from Lumi, and we've got Kojuk on the Ballpoint and Mars on the Tetra. So all standard stuff here.
Indeed, and we're seeing Kojuk here with the very early inkjet trying to push away members of... I need to get bigger.
So, sorry.
Early pickup from Lumi, and they do clear through that first checkpoint there. That is definitely going to give them that early advantage onto the field. And now the Crab comes out. Very good positioning here, and it's going to very much put them at a huge disadvantage here, and just trying to find, but no picks going out, but is going to allow that Rainmaker to have a bit of space there to clear away and allow them to get a lot more control back into mid.
Yeah, so we saw that initial special rush sort of flying out with, you know, Ballpoint, Booyah, all that sort of stuff. It gets Sydney their first checkpoint, but Melbourne able to stem the bleeding at that point. So an initial checkpoint break is definitely a good thing for Sydney. It means that the next push is going to be a lot easier, but it's certainly not going to be a game-winning score. They're going to need to do a lot more from here.
Absolutely. 58, not a good thing there. And a trade between the Rainmaker there, and now J-Splat getting taken out by Link. That is 2 players down now. Make that 3. This is an opportunity for them. They've already cleared that checkpoint, and now they're going to look at making some further positions here. Sydney just trying to find any way they can get through, but the bomb takes out Link, and now 2 players are down, and that could be them. But Lumi continues carrying out, but a wipeout is going to stop them right in their tracks.
That was really, really key. The fact that Lumi was able to get that deep into the base despite starting to lose players, that's a huge push for Sydney, and this actually could be... It's given Melbourne a chance to counter push, and they may be able to get the checkpoint here if they're able to stabilize. But this is... Oh my gosh, Nex. Okay, you can't be... That's just not okay.
Able to clear that... Getting that checkpoint is definitely going to be a huge boon in their favor. Oh, you've got to have some luck on your side to be able to get that cleared. But now here comes Link, already getting one splat, tries to get on there, but going into a 2v1 is not going to be a great situation from them. And now 2 players are down on the side of Sydney as Lumi trying to get some position going. Mars now just trying to find any picks. Trying to get the splat, but a trade between Lumi and J-Splat is going to send them both back to the respawn pad. And now they're just trying to look for any ways to go through. J-Splat definitely using that tactical to get back into the action quicker. But Sydney, they're just getting held back.
Yeah, that was a huge pick from J-Splat onto Kojuke as well, because that means that there's no like inkjet or anything like that to clear the plat, and now you can see Melbourne are able to actually push out and start taking some of this middle of the stage back. Sydney is there to greet them, but for the most part, it looks like Melbourne's managed to stabilize once again.
Indeed, and now they're just trying to find any opportunity they can to get through. J-Splat just has the Trizuka at the ready, and we did see that got that bit of a buff in the recent patch, but they're going to need to be able to stay alive to get that narrowly getting out of harm's way there as Link goes down. Kojuk trying to find it, gets drops and gets picked by Pata here, getting another one. That's 2 down. This is a great opportunity for Melbourne now. They've got a path, they've got the splats, and the specials are nearly there. But with one of them going down, that could put them at a disadvantage here.
Oh, the crab from the high ground is they've lost the Rainmaker, but the crab from the high ground is actually keeping their position on the plat alive here. They're going to be able to set up for more specials. Are they going to be able to push the Rainmaker past? They've only got 30 seconds. They're being held back by a Booyah. J-Splat absolutely, he's trying his best. There's only one player in defense. Here they go.
Here they go. But
they got the lead by 1 point.
Oh, narrowly getting that, but now 3 players are down. This is still a chance for them to get the push. The Rainmaker gets popped. They're climbing to the wall. They get down to 10, but they get stopped in their tracks again by Link.
So there's still a chance for a comeback here. Sydney, they have all their players up. They've got they're working specials, but they're being flanked. Oh no! Next, he's on top of it.
Next.
What an absolutely insane first game we've had. Sydney in control for most of it, but then right at the very end, Melbourne with their signature aggression, they're getting their specials into insanely strong positions. That crab from power was absolutely key. They lost, like, the Kojuke managed to get the Rainmaker down, but the crab managing to hold that ground for Melbourne, letting them respawn, letting them get back in, and then just special after special after special into the and into like this clutch push to 25, just narrowly securing the lead, and then just snowballing it from there.
Yeah, it's just they got that very just the push. There's like you get stopped, and usually that's the end of a push, but being able to still be able to push that and capitalize that, it was, oh boy, that was a game one, and what a way to start off today.
Yeah, these teams are both swinging for the fences here. I mean, like, Sydney showing incredible aggression through the first part of the game. Their opening was excellent, like, in terms of their specials, just really quickly carving the map so that they can get that first checkpoint. And that's on Rainmaker too. Rainmaker's been one of the strong modes for Melbourne. So the fact that they're able to make such a decisive statement in the first half of that game, like, yeah, they didn't quite get it over the line, but they're still absolutely this is absolutely going to be a close series.
Yeah, and seeing that from game one is I'm only too hyped to see where we're gonna go from here, and the information, I have it in my ears, I have it in my face. We're going to Splat Zones on Mako March.
So Splat Zones has actually been Melbourne's best mode. So they didn't actually play a whole lot of games throughout the league because they won most of them 4-0. So, but a big part of that was the fact that they're actually undefeated through regular season play on Splat Zones. So coming to Mako Mart Zones it's going to be potentially Melbourne's first loss. And we'll have to see whether Sydney's able to mix things up and show them something that they haven't seen before.
Indeed, and something I really want to talk about before we go into this, we've had that recent InkVac buff, having that larger explosion radius, and Splat Zones is really if you're going to use InkVac anywhere, it's going to be Splat Zones, because you can just stop people from painting the zone, which is...
Yeah.
It can be pretty good, especially now you could probably, especially on how small the Mako Mart zone can be, if you can get that explosion positioned in a good spot, you could almost instantly flip that zone, or even just like send it into neutral with one shot.
Yeah, like, because a lot of the zone cap specials we have are things like Tri-Strike and Booyah Bomb, and the InkVac shot just instantly explodes and just paints everything all at once. So it's definitely a huge it's a huge potential tool. The only question is, I don't know exactly who would be able to play. We do actually have a couple of substitutions though. So Kizaz has come in for Sydney, and Kiz does actually have a Tentabrola. And so Tentabrola is a vac weapon, so maybe we'll see that. We'll have to see.
Indeed, and now these teams are getting readied up to go into Game 2. Oh, I'm curious to see what they come out. Like, we're saying, yeah, it could be an Inkvac, and obviously Melbourne has had such a dominant control of the Splat Zones mode. I'm kind of not really predicting they're going to do too many changes from their usual composition just because of how strong they are in this mode. But, you know, they're going against Sin. This is the grand final. This is their hardest competition. They've already lost a game, which you can't say against much of the other games they've played throughout the entire league. So maybe they will change it. It's hard to say.
Yeah, and we're about to see right now as we go into the game as well. We should note that there's actually 2 substitutions for Melbourne. So Ice Clear with his dualies and Drago with the Slosher have come in. We also have A on the E-liter, and Nex is once again on NZAP. And then on the Sydney side of things, we have Kizaz actually on the Splatter Shot, freshly buffed, can't blame him. Link with the Tri-Slosher, Vanilla Tri with the Inkjet. Lumi with the NZAP, and Mars on the Signature Tetras.
Indeed, and now we're seeing some very, very early picks come out. 2 players down on each side. Wow, that is a great way to start. Make that 3 players down on the side of the Vortexes as Mars goes up, climbs into their base, and Sydney Cyclones, their points are already tick-tocking down.
Yeah, that early tactical was actually key there. The first opening kind of a couple of picks for Melbourne, but the cooler immediately kicking in and giving Sydney some legs back into the fight.
We're really seeing how early on, how dominant Melbourne is on Splat Zones, already going down to 44. They've got a 43-point penalty, yes, but though, given that they've already cleared 60 points from their total objective, those points are going to go cleared away quickly as Link gets yet another splat. Gets another one. Are they going to be able to take the Crab now? Is this going to be Crab v Inkjet? But the Crab takes the crown, and 3 players go down on the Vortexes as Sydney.
Yeah,
Melbourne
so
takes back control.
Melbourne's able to get back control here with that Crab actually being able to lock down the Inkjet and stop it from inflicting any further harm. And then eventually it was just down to the ends up on Lumi to try and hold the zone, and he had to retreat. So a good retake from Melbourne, and they're almost actually equalizing.
And they're getting closer and closer. 2 down at peace. And now Ice Clear trying to come up from behind isn't going to be able to stop them. And now that penalty is going to go back onto them. 35 points there. And a Crab comes out from Ice Clear. Again, they're just loving their shells here, constantly being a nuisance. We're going to see the Tri-Strike come out as well. It's going to push them away, push them all over the place. But Drago able to get that splat with the Slosher, and now just trying to find some more picks, utilizing ledges to their every opportunity possible.
Yeah, you can see that the pick onto Mars was actually really crucial because, like as we've mentioned, Mars is extremely aggressive with the Tetras and is actually one of the reasons why Sydney's been able to be so successful lately. And that initial pick to shut down Mars led to this retake.
A retake indeed, but with 3 players down on both sides, the retake is going to be very, very slow. Next being one of the only players left alive, does get that trade between Mars there. And now they're going to go back to the respawn pad. That Wellham is going to have that tactical instant respawn. Players go down. A goes down to the Inkjet. And that zone is going to go back into neutral. Lead has been switched, but not until that they retake the zone. But these teams are so close.
Yeah, Melbourne did sort of lose some players there, but because of the cooler, again, they're just right back up and able to retake immediately with their specials. There was a bit of an awkward moment there where there was a bit of an accident with a bomb that led to an untimely death. But yeah, so Melbourne currently back in control after a bit of a scare.
Yeah, gotten a lot more control back, but now going 2 players down again. We're always saying is that when they get 2 players down, that seems to be the cataclysm for getting that zone flip. And there we go. There is another zone switch as the Sydney Cyclones take back control, but Melbourne not allowing that for any longer, taking control right back from them, not giving them a moment to breathe.
Drago's going absolutely ham this game. He's been crucial to so many of these takes, getting double kills all left and right. And he's also got his tri-strike rather ready for the retake immediately. So this has been a huge play from him.
And 2 players down again on either side. Both teams eyeing to keep control or take it away from one another. The zone goes into neutral. But Melbourne just has the more players there available as 3 players go down on the Sydney Cyclones. This is now going to allow Melbourne Vortex to get a lot of points down onto the field. They got 3 players down just a moment ago, and now that's really given them that point advantage all the way down to 21.
This is a huge play from Link and Mars here on the right side of the stage, taking away...
And Mars here just hiding, trying to find any positions they can to go in. Looking at final 10 seconds. Melbourne needs to take control, but 4 seconds until the zone flip.
Oh, here
the zone goes into neutral, but Melbourne takes control. It goes into...
Oh my... They almost had it. They were so close. The Reef Slider was coming in at the last moment. That incredible play down the side of the stage with Mars and Link opened the map up for them. They were able to start getting points back on the board, but an immediate retake from Melbourne with just absolute decisive play there. And able to flip the zone for that briefest of moments, and that was all it took. They couldn't get the zone back, and the clock hit 0, so that's it, game over. So that's 2-0 for Melbourne after 2 incredibly close games. So yeah, I mean, geez, already we've had... It's 2-0, but I mean, we've had some incredibly close games already. The first game going down to... what was basically a 1-point lead, and then into a slight extension on that, and then this time Sydney almost taking the lead back right at the very end.
These games are just absolutely insane. Like, the scoreboard does not tell the story of how close these games going into overtime for both games is just not something you get all the time. It's just being able to just get it, and then just the absolute like madness that was in that zone in the last few seconds. Like, we had players going down, we had just specials going everywhere. Absolute madness. It was almost like if you were in the zone, you were destined to go back to your spawn pad. Like, there was no way for you to live if you were in that zone.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it was just things exploding. I mean, it's your typical zones game at that point, but I mean, like the zone is always absolute death, especially in these high-level games like this. The teams are currently deliberating on their counter picks and potential substitutions, but yeah, I mean, still, Melbourne showing, though, I think, they're like how clutch they are, because both of those games, they were at a disadvantage, quite a sizable one. For the first half of each game, and they were able to collect themselves and come back. And not only with that, but like, this is with all 6 of their players having now played. So it's not even just that, you know, oh, they had like one player who just clutched it for them. No, their entire team has the clutch gene at this point. Like, they're able to keep themselves composed and then retake and then hold really, really well. And I mean, geez, it's incredibly impressive play, because remembering these are not like organized, you know, these are not teams who have been together for months and months and months. These are basically pickup teams. Like, they've been playing together for a couple of weeks and growing throughout the season, and we see that like here on display.
Yeah, it's just I see all the time how well freshly formed teams can come together and put together some incredible showcasing of what they can do. Because you see often when players get paired together when they haven't been together before, it really comes down to how well can you adapt. That is the name of the game when you're doing any type of this type of event. How well can you adapt with your team? How well can you adapt with each other's playstyle? Because everyone plays and calls out differently, and it's always a matter of push and shove, like how well you can adapt. And now that we've gone through so many weeks, we've been through the entire league, these teams, they know what each other are with. They've played games. They've done practice. They've been together through thick and thin, all the way to lead up to today's game where they're playing off for a potential of $400 for the first place. And it's just, we don't know what they could bring.
Yeah, I mean, especially now with the patch coming in, and as well. So we've got news from On High. We have our next map. It's going to be Rainmaker on Scorch Gorge. There's been a couple of substitutions in as well. Para and J Splat are back in for Melbourne, taking the spots of I believe it was Ice Clear and Drago, and MGJ. Ness, the 96 Deco king himself, has come in for Sydney.
Definitely some critical changes there. Like, I'm curious to see how this impacts them going forward. So going back to Rainmaker, because we saw Rainmaker game 1, obviously Sydney seeing zones. That was Melbourne's. We knew that coming in, and they got proven. But going back to Rainmaker, I'm curious to see what they do here, because they've already lost a Rainmaker game. But Scorch Gorge, such a vastly different map than Museum. So, and it's so much more open. Got a lot more positions for you to just position your crabs, position your backlines, and it's only we're gonna have to see what they bring out here.
Yeah, so we know that so they've actually substituted Ness in for Kojuke, so that means that they're going to be playing without an anchor. So Melbourne is running their typical comp, so the same weapons they've been running with NZAP, Ballpoint, Splash, and Splattershot, while Sydney is going to be running 96 Deco, Sloshing Machine, NZAP, and Tetra for this Rainmaker Scorch Gorge game. Let's go.
I'm definitely curious to see what this Kraken is going to be able to do, because we haven't seen too much of the Kraken movement today. And now we're going to be able to see players already going down so quickly. And 2 players are down on the side of the Sydney Cyclones as Melbourne Vortex nearly clears. Stopping at a hair's breadth from the checkpoint.
Yeah, that's actually going to be really critical. That cheeky little run across the bridge is a classic opening on the stage, where you just kind of try to sneak the checkpoint before anyone had a chance to catch their breath. But catching their breath is what Sydney has just done, and now they're able to get back onto the stage without really losing any ground. So that was a really clutch stop there on Sydney's part.
Indeed, and now the Rainmaker is back in Melbourne's possession. They're looking to get some more points onto their board, maybe even clear through that checkpoint. But they're going to need to do a bit more. But their players pushing forward past the checkpoint, that is going to be that cleared. But MGAG is going to take down some players as 3 go down on the Vortexes. That's going to allow Sydney Cyclones to regain a lot of turf over mid and get some control back into their hands.
It sure is, but at the same time, Sydney was able to actually get back. The Trizuka though, that was critical, but they didn't get the Rainmaker, and with Mars still shielding, maybe there's a chance for Sydney to keep this push going.
Para narrowly avoiding some of the Rainmaker shots there, and now they're looking to try and find any opportunity to go down. Rainmaker does go down here, and now they're just trying to find any opportunities, any ways that they can get through, just break through, get through to the eye of the storm and make a movement going.
Yeah, we're seeing again Melbourne they're just so good at holding mid and then just waiting and waiting for their opportunity. You see Mars is going in aggressively them and getting caught, and MGG going in with a Kraken. Melbourne still has 3 specials. They're going to be able to turn this around in a moment if Sydney doesn't start getting picks.
Yeah, it's just you need to find your ways to get through. We're going to see that next here does pick up the Rainmaker, and the Crab is going to give them that little bit of protection. 3 players go down onto the Cyclones. This is Melbourne's opportunity to get a lot more points on the board, but with bombs coming left, right, and center, that is going to send 3 players down into hell.
And they found the jumps
to get some more spot. Oh, Link getting
That's
a
huge.
flat and an assist is really going to allow the Cyclones to get a lot of control here and give them an opportunity. Bio Bomb is going to take a play down. Kraken comes out. The checkpoint is cleared, and Sydney Cyclones is in a great position.
Oh, they're going to keep this going, I think. They're keeping this going. They're following the Reef Slider. He's going all the way in. Link getting to 23, but they're still going. It's a full wipeout. This might be a knockout.
They climb. Oh, and then there's the cut.
What an incredible counter push there from Sydney. Absolutely key. That the fact that they were able to find the jumps in mid, that broke all the Melbourne's been relying on this tacticooler to make sure they always come out of spawn with specials. They're always getting back into mid in a timely fashion. But when they find the jumps like that, they found the jumps, and that meant that it was basically just a free push all the way to the checkpoint. They had all their specials ready to go for the push from the checkpoint onwards, and then they managed to get, what was that, 3 picks while the Rainmaker was running, and that just meant they were able to instantly pop the Rainmaker and with a wipeout. And oh my god, that was incredibly fast and decisive play from Sydney there. We absolutely, this is what you all came to see. This is what we wanted from a $400 first place finals game.
Yeah, just being able to take the Rainmaker from being pushed so hard against you, like that was the lead that came out from Melbourne Vortex. And then Sydney Cyclones being able to take that Rainmaker, take it from their base, splat every member along the way, and slam dunk it to the pedestal at the end. Wow. That's not something you get to see every day.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredibly. I think as well what made it so effective was I think Sydney were able to recognize it wasn't just that they were able to get out of their base and sort of reestablish control. It was that they recognized that was what they needed to do to win. They found the jumps, and immediately they knew that was their opportunity, and they made absolute full, like, they didn't panic, they didn't overplay their hand. They drove that Rainmaker in like incredibly well. So that having been said, we are getting our counter pick coming in. It's looking like it's going to be Hagglefish Splat Zones, and both teams are going to be making substitutions. So we'll have to see how this goes.
I'm not surprised to see Melbourne pick out the zones.
I don't think I'm surprised either.
Like we talked about this going into this. Like, zones is definitely it's Melbourne's forte here. And then going to it's also Melbourne's like first loss in a while. So now being able to give them that opportunity, especially Hagglefish, definitely the most well-rounded zones map out of there, especially when you compare it to the other zones that's on offer today, which is Mahi Mahi.
Oh yeah, the pizza box. We love that.
Yeah, definitely the better pick.
That sounds like a Game 9 in the making to me. I don't know about you. We all here for Game 9 Mahi zones? Hell yeah!
I want to see it. I want to see, if you players, if you're listening, save the Game 9 for Mahi zone. Save that for then. That's what we're all here for, right?
Actually, since we're talking about counter picks, it's something that's sort of happened here is we've got the zones and the Rainmaker kind of out of the way early, and the fact that so those are the 2 strongest modes for Melbourne, which means that Sydney, if they can keep the set going, they're going to be moving into the sort of the tower control and the clan blitz side of the counter pick pool. So for those at home, the map counter picks are basically there's like a pool of 3 maps for each mode, and so we've already had 2 zones games, which means well, including this one that's coming up, which means there's only 1 more zones game that can be played in this set. But we haven't had any tower control, we haven't had any clan blitz, so those are probably going to be what we're going to be seeing toward the end of this set. And that's going to, considering that Sydney seems very, very comfortable on TC, like they've played way more tower control than any other mode during this season. That's, I think, going to factor quite a lot into the way this series closes out.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see though, because Sydney, they've counterpicked to both zones and Rainmaker. They haven't touched tower control. Like, you say they're so dominant in that, but like they haven't even touched the mode yet. So I'm curious to see what their strategy is going into this, because they seem to like them.
I mean, you can't blame them for going to Rainmaker after the display we just saw in the previous game. But I mean, here we are. Actually, we've got players in the lobby. Substitutions have been made. It looks as though we have so Drago is in for J-Splat, I believe, and it looks as though I believe Sydney is using the same players as before. Just confirming. Yep. No subs for Sydney. All right.
Had no subs.
So just the 1 sub. So, yeah. So this is one of those stages where you're potentially going to see a lot more of the, throwing stuff at the zone kind of weapons. So things like Neo Splash. If you want to see an Inkvac, this is one of the stages where Inkvac can do funny and cool things like instantly capping the zone. And also, like, this is one of the stages where Inkvac was sort of, when people first started playing it, this was one of the stages where people picked Inkvac a lot. Because that middle area, there's just so much stuff being thrown at the zone, having a single special that cleans it all up, it's quite handy. But here we are, we're going into the game. Game 3, Splat Zones on Hagglefish. And we're going to see the team comps here. We got Melbourne.
Ooh.
Yes, so Nex has switched over to Neo Splash, as has Link. So Link is actually not on a slosher. But yeah, so aside from that, everything appears to be more or less what we've seen. So Nex with the Neo Splash, Power with the Splash, A with the E-Leader, Drago with the Machine. And on the Sydney side, we've got Lumi with the N-Zap, we've got Link with the Neo Splash, MTJ with the Signature 96 Deco, and Mars with the Signature Tetra.
Mars trying for an early flank there, but does get caught out by Powder now, and MGJ trying to find a player with that Kraken Burrow, just trying to run away with the crab. That's not how you use a crab. But now they're looking to find it any way they can get in. The Sydney Cyclones do take control here of the zone. They do have that early first lead, but with 2 players down a piece, these players are trying to find any way they can get in. The Sydney Cyclones just increasing their lead here. Trying to find a player to pick off, trying to just make use of the range they have with that E-Leader. But now Melbourne Vortex, they're taking control of the zone. Oh, and now they're trying to find anything, trying to find the pick. Zone in neutral, and now they're trying to find MG. Comes with the Kraken, gets onto Draco up their back, and now that Sydney Cyclones is in a great position.
So that right there was 100% Mars. Mars was able to get in behind with the Tetra and pulls half of Melbourne away from the zone, like backwards, while the rest of the team was moving forwards. And that actually split them and made them really easy for Sydney to individually pick them off. And that led to Sydney being able to recap the zone very, very easily from a pretty hairy situation. Again, Sydney able to get the picks that they need to keep this zone under control with very little penalty left over.
Yeah, their penalty nearly gone, and look how far back Melbourne Vortex is pushed. They're going to need to do a whole lot more if they want to get back into control of this zone. There we go, the zone goes into neutral. Booyah Bomb is going to give them a lot of cover there to take control of the zone. Kraken is out on the side of the Cyclones, going to find some picks there, but Lumi here is going to be able to make a lot of headways, making sure that they get that tactical out and just get that control as the Cyclones remain in their field.
Yeah, Sydney is absolutely like. Oh, hang on. No, I thought Nex had the jump there, but no. So Sydney is definitely. So this time they found Mars. So if they can clear Mars before their push, then they're not going to have a repeat of last time. Melbourne able to get their specials onto the zone, so that means their retake is secure, and they're taking control of the plat area. If they can win this fight, they might be able to get some points together.
But are they able to get it? But they go. It's absolute
Drago.
mayhem.
Oh, he's Drago coming in clutch there. I think he got three kills. And another one on MGJ. That's a big one because that's just as they're about to take the lead. Mars coming in with the Tetra on the side and maybe able to cap the zone.
The zone is capped, and with 2 players down on the side of Melbourne. Now, this is the real opportunity for Sydney Cyclones to take back control, but the Tri-Strike is going to go straight to the middle and flip control back over, only for a moment, though, as it goes back into neutral. And now Nexia trying to look for any opportunities, trying to avoid the Tetras, but the Tetras can't avoid them. And now, Gal getting that splat, and now they're just trying to find these opportunities. They've got 2 players down on the Vortexes. So they're just trying to find these opportunities, trying to make a lot of... just maintain control, set themselves up for success. And now, getting clear of that penalty, they've only got...
Oh, the crab shot. That was incredible.
Just getting that parabola set nice and clearly, getting that crab shot onto 2 is just the thing you like to see. And now, are they going to be able to get Mars? They do get Mars, but Para gets taken out by Link. And heading to the final 40 seconds, it's still anyone's game.
It absolutely is. The Tri-Strike's coming to try and stall this push a little bit. Oh, but the Booyah as well does catch Link. There's definitely a numbers advantage for Sydney at the moment. So Melbourne's going to have to try and push back onto the zone here. The last second.
And we do see that MGJ does have that Kraken at the ready, which is going to be really great at just making sure they have that invincibility, making sure they're able to get control. And here comes the Kraken. Are they giving the air to get some picks? Just spinning around. Out comes the restarter. 2 players go down on the side of the Vortexes as Sydney Cyclones. They have control, and that is their game. Setting the score to 2-2.
We're all even after 4 games, and that's the first time Melbourne's lost on zone. So there we go. Sydney absolutely punching back in this set. Incredible how well they rebounded from all those fights. I don't think there was ever a point where Sydney was actually pushed back into their base. Whereas I think Melbourne, what got them in trouble in the first place was actually that Sydney got a couple of fights sort of strung together. And that meant that Melbourne was all the way stuck in their base and had to retake from basically nothing. And that was when Sydney got a lot of their points. So that was a huge amount of aggression from Sydney at the start of that game once again. And this time it actually paid off for them. This time Melbourne was not able to mount that comeback that they needed. And yeah, so this is like I think as well you mentioned the Kraken a couple of times there. That was I think critical of just the fact that Melbourne had so many just specials where they would just
get back into the generator, give it some energy, give it some little bit of juice, and hopefully we're back on.
Hopefully. Bit of a Telstra moment. But yeah, so I don't know how much of... Look, all right, we'll just catch you guys up then. So we've just had... We're up to Game 5. It's 2-2 between Melbourne and Sydney. Fighting over a prize pool of $500 for this game. So first place gets 400, second place gets 100. So we're moving on to the Melbourne counterpick, which is going to be TC Undertow Spillway. So this is our first TC game of the night. And I was just saying that Sydney's played a lot of tower control. They've played something like, 12 games of tower control, something like that. I've got the stats in front of me. I can't read them. um, Meanwhile, Melbourne has actually not really played it a whole lot. They've only played it about 5 times. Now, to be fair, they have 4-0'd a lot of their sets, so they haven't had that many games in general. But they haven't been anywhere near as successful on TC as they have been on Zones and Rainmaker. So this is going to be interesting. If Sydney maintains the momentum they've gathered over the last 2 games, this could be really dangerous for Melbourne.
Yeah, and especially since both teams, they've each earned 1 win on... Sorry. Yeah, they've both earned 1 win on both Rainmaker and Zones. Now that we're heading to a brand new mode, the slate has been reset. Both of these teams haven't played tower control yet today. But obviously, yes, Sydney has had that advantage in being able to just repeatedly, because they've had that back and forthness with the other teams within the league, they've had more opportunities to play on these tower control maps. So they've had more opportunities to do that, and we're going to have to see, is that going to give them the advantage here? Or can Melbourne just show why they've just been such a dominant force in the league and just shut down the Sydney Cyclones on Undertow Spillway today? But only time will tell about this nature. And
Hello, sorry. I'm having a bit of a moment. Okay, yes.
we all are.
Oh, jeez. All right. Yeah, so moving on to TC Spillway. So we've got Kojuke back in. So we're going to have Anchor v Anchor yet again. We've also got Ice Clear and Drago in for Melbourne. I believe Drago was in the previous game, but... Oh, yeah, Ice Clear's replacing Paris, sorry. Just thinking, J-Splat wasn't in the last game, was he? Yeah, so both of these teams, like this is the midpoint of the set. I mean, this is whichever team wins here is going to be setting themselves up nicely for the back half of the set. And on TC as well, this is the set that's probably going. This is the mode rather that's probably going to determine these two, the victor out of these 2 teams. And we go into the game with Nex back on the NZAP, A with the BP, Ice Clear with the signature, Dualies and Drago back on the machine, Kojuke on the BP. Sorry, that was Mars on the light Tetras now instead of the dark Tetras, as well as Lumi on the Zap and Link on the machine.
Indeed, and now we're gonna see it's a bit of a neutral state, but with 2 players going down on the side of Sydney Cyclones, it's going to allow the Melbourne Vortex to get a very early control. Heading into that first checkpoint, are they going to be able to clear? And they are taking down Mars as well as Ice Clear hops onto that crab. Just being out of that's going to send a lot of people away from that tower, and that tactical is going to give them a lot of opportunities here and being able to quickly respawn as well. Sister Next just staying on the tower, trying to find any way to go. Mars with the Tetras, gonna go try and find a spot around the tower. Does get the splat onto Next here. And now they're gonna look at it. Oh, gets another splat, but no, goes down to A there. And that it might be the end of that push as the Melbourne Vortex backs out from that fight. Now gonna allow Sydney Cyclones to get a bit of control. But A with that ball point is gonna splat Lumi, sending them back to the spawn pad.
Yeah, very explosive start to this game here. A critical in holding mid here to maintain Melbourne's hold over the map. If Melbourne is able to, oh, never mind, Sydney's coming in though.
Coming in with an Inkjet to boot and with the tactical to give them that little bit of juice. They clear through that first checkpoint. Mars trying to make any opportunity possible. They are quite weak here, but able to try and find a opportunity. Does get that splat onto Drago, but Next able to get the splat back onto them. And now they're trying to find these opportunities, trying to find these positions, trying to get this going. They do have that tactical already and does pop it in an instant. And now they're just trying to find, does have the high ground onto Mars. They get the assist, but jumps out.
Just cooler jumps. Always fun. Oh, but Melbourne's able to actually secure a 2-player advantage here, which means there was a cooler on those deaths, so they are straight back into it. But notice Nex is able to take so much space, but immediately Sydney is able to just clean that entire push up like it's nothing.
indeed. And now, they're gonna be able to retake control of a lot of mid now and just be able to do a lot with it. The Booyah Bomb is going to come out. Tactical are coming out once again. And 2 players are down on the Vortex. That's going to really allow the Sydney Cyclones to just keep this push on going. They're going to be able to easily clear through this second checkpoint here. And now they're going to look to find some more positions. But another 2 players
lead.
go down. And lead is theirs. And now they're heading in to the final checkpoint. This could be the game for them. Booyah Bomb comes out. Normal bombs come out. And now they're trying to get anything. The Inkjet goes players and gets them down. 3 players are down on the side of the Vortex and 2 are down on the Cyclones. They're looking to get these splats. They're looking to find these players. The jumps come in. Are they going to be able to clear through these checkpoint jumps coming in? But
Oh, they've got it. They've got it. That is an incredibly dangerous situation the Melbournes just saved themselves from. That position where the tower is, it's so easy, and you could see it. You could see how difficult it was for Melbourne to just attack the tower, because it's so easy for Sydney from the tower to just keep shooting at Melbourne's spawn point. But they managed. What was critical there was the ball point being able to move out to the side and was able to crossfire on the tower and clear it while and buy some space for the frontliners to get in. Now it's Melbourne's turn to push. Can they actually bring this back?
Well, getting those players down is certainly going to help, as a wipeout is going to ensure that tower goes even further. They still had to clear that checkpoint, but they are setting themselves up for a great time here. But the 2 players going down is going to help them next, helping get more splats. There's only the ball point left, and there's only the ball point that ends up left, but they clear the checkpoint. They're able to get it. They get a lead, but they hop onto the tower, jumps in and come in, but they're going to stop that tower again. And whoa, but are they going to be able to continue it? No, jumps out to safety, going to allow them to help set up. And now we're going to head into overtime, and they're just going to try and find these opportunities. Melbourne needs to set up a killer defense, and Cyclones are going to need to put all their cards in for this attack.
Oh, absolutely. We've already got an Inkjet coming out, and lost
Next,
it. Oh, but Nex is on the tower.
Next.
Shades of Game 1. Nex just backdooring onto the objective in the last moment, just slipping through and stealing the objective out from under Sydney. They're starting to get their feet under them. Oh my goodness. I want to give full credit for that defense to A on that ball point. So when the tower was just clearing the checkpoint, A was able to take out 2 players on the tower and then move into the snipe position, so like behind the tower, relative to the spawn, which meant that there was crossfire coming from both sides, and that actually allowed Melbourne to properly clear the tower. It's incredibly difficult to do that on this mode, as anyone who's played this game enough would tell you. So A being able to do that was absolutely critical. And then of course next with the clutch at the very end, but the aggression from both teams in these pushes is incredible to see. That the coordination as well. Like, both of these teams are able to have multiple specials to clear each of these checkpoints. Usually the hard part of that map is clearing that big second checkpoint with that's in the sort of the low ground area, because it's just so easy to get flanked. It's so easy to just lose it to a Booyah Bomb or a Tri-Strike or whatever. But in both cases, both teams were able to push so deep into the base that that wasn't even an issue, and it all came down to the clutch defense at the very end of the stage. So honestly, incredible play from both teams there. That was some of the, like, you could see the experience of Sydney on tower control there, but also Melbourne being able to clutch out at the last moment, as they have so many times in this set already. My goodness, this set is already insane. And from the looks of things, I mean, that's game 5. I mean, I think we're going the distance. I don't know about you, DJ, but this looks like it's going all the way.
It certainly looks that way indeed. Like, just looking at how these have gone, it's a story in the making. We've seen that Melbourne, they're taking games 1 and 2 Sydney Cyclones, they took games 3 and 4. And then Melbourne, we just saw take game 5. And now, if we're going by that pattern, Melbourne, they might take the next game, and then Sydney Cyclones might take the next 2. But we're talking about Splatoon here. If you try and predict a pattern, that pattern is going to flank you right in the back like we saw Next just do. But you
Certainly is, yeah.
You just don't know.
Yeah, especially since we're going on to yet another tower control game and yet another fairly snowbally one in Mako Mart. So we once again have substitutes. So we're going to be seeing. It actually looks as though neither team is going to be playing with an anchor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so both teams have actually subbed their anchors out. So they're going to have. For Sydney, we're going to have MGJ, we're going to have Link, we're going to have Lumi and Mars. And for Melbourne, we're going to have Nex, J-Splat, Ice Clear, and Drago. So pretty much about as close to mirror comps as we're going to see here, I think, with these two teams. So we're going to really see just all-out aggression in this game. There's no anchors, there's nobody holding the back line. Closest thing to that would probably be MGJ on the 96 Deco. So this is gonna and the crab. That's true. He can tag in when the Kraken's going in. Yeah. So we're gonna see all out aggression in this game.
And all out aggression is definitely something to watch out for. Indeed, you bring the pain. You bring the pain. There's no paintbrush in this though. As we dive into Mako Mart Tower Control, let's see. It's game 5. It's game 6.
Game 6.
What's coming up?
All right, so we got all the same weapons as usual. Nobody's changed anything too much. Nex on the N-Zap, J-Splat with the J-Shot, Ice Clear with the Dualies, Drago with the Machine, MGJ with the 96 Deco, Link with the Machine, rather, Lumi with the Zap, and Mars with the Dark Tetras once again.
And we're going to see all the splats already coming out. Lumi going up hard. Gets one. Are they going to be able to get some more? They're trying to find any opportunity, but they do get taken out by Ice Kid, but Ice Kid gets taken out themselves. Link going to be able to try and get some more picks. Just trying to find the Booyah Bomb. Does going to come out, as well as some more specials. And they're just trying to find it. That tower is going to get stopped right into its checkpoint. And now they're looking to find any way to get through. We see Ice Clear does have that crab, but Mars is going to try and come out. But you can't approach a crab without a little bit of worry in your boots as they get taken out.
Yeah, that was insane. Like, we're only a minute into the game, and the map controls switched like 3 times already. So Drago there with the huge hold when Sydney was in control, and now we see Link basically trying to do his impression of the same thing. Melbourne, though, able to stabilize and is able to start pushing the tower, so we're going to see how well they can push past this plat area.
And Next not is going to allow that to push even further, getting the splat onto MGJ, but they are going to go down, but that tower isn't going to stop in its tracks for no one as 3 players go down, make that a wipeout against the Sydney Cyclones as Melbourne Vortex is pushing that tower even further, clearing through checkpoint 2. And now J-Splat with the Trizuka is going to get that splat onto MGJ on the Ingram. He's going to get that splat onto Mars as well. That tower is going to keep on chugging down through. They're heading up to the final checkpoint. And now Lumi goes down as well. Next is going to get that splat onto MGJ. 3, 2, 1. And that is game 6 going to the Vortexes.
Now, you said something about patterns. I think we're seeing a pattern being established here. That's 2 TC games in a row where Melbourne's been able to get some serious aggression going to push the tower all the way, this time to a knockout, not allowing for Sydney to even make an attempt at a comeback. Good. So that first minute, they had it was a cooler fight. I mean, both teams put their coolers down. Both teams ran at each other. Everyone died. And then everyone respawned, and immediately they were fighting again. So I think, shades of the Splatoon we're going to be seeing in the next couple of months. But yeah, I mean, the key though was Drago. So Drago was able to stay alive and hold the tower at bay, actually keeping I think 2 or 3 players by the time jumps came in away from the base, and actually allowed time for Melbourne to respawn. And that meant that Melbourne was able to then push in through mid, retake really, really quickly, surround the tower, take everyone out, and then when they started their push, they were able to secure the top left, sort of the enemy plat, much more easily. And that was what Drago prevented with his play. So basically, like, both teams just trying to do the same thing, but then one player managing to hold off the aggression, just stave off that aggression just long enough to keep Melbourne in the game. And I think very easily, if absolutely been Sydney just sailing all the way to a clean knockout. So this is the kind of game where, like, you can very easily, and I just saw Clan Blitz get locked in. This is the kind of game where a single player and in a single moment can just absolutely change the course of the game, and we definitely saw that in that moment there.
Yeah, and now I am a huge supporter of Clan Blitz. Clan Blitz.
Oh, I am too.
Clan Blitz is honestly the best mode.
It is.
You changed my mind.
I won't be changing your mind.
Good. Clan Blitz is the absolute epitome of showcasing how well can your team work together. You have so many moments where, yes, you have your individual plays, you have your individual clan count, but you gotta work together with your team to be able to get those pushes going, because you need to really get momentum going. Now, Scorched Gorge, it's, in terms of all the Clan Blitz maps, it's definitely one of the baskets that's a bit harder to break through. You've got to not only break through mid, you've got to climb up a ramp, or you can go around the back doors and get that flank going, which I have a feeling we might see Next do that potentially, given, they seem to like their flanks.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. Like, the trouble with this map is, as you say, like, you have to go up that ramp, and then there's just a choke point that's going to be full of bombs. There's going to be 17,000 bombs just waiting for you as you try to round that corner. So what you typically need is either a whole bunch of specials to just push the enemy team all the way away from the basket so that they can't defend it at all, or you just need to kill them. You typically are not going to see, the cheeky sort of ink brush style, like, I'm just going to slip in here and throw the clam in. You actually need a huge amount of control just to get the basket open, and that's to say nothing of continuing to get clams into the basket after that. So yeah, this is one of those maps where the aggression that we've seen over the last couple of games, you're going to actually need to temper it a little bit, because you need to be extremely coordinated to clear out the defending strongholds so that you can actually score the objective. And on top of that, as you said, there's so many things to do, because you also have to make sure that you've actually got a decent amount of clams before you go in. So so here we go into Clan Blitz on Scorched Gorge. I believe we've had some substitutes. We've got Para back in place of no, not Drago. In place of, I'm blanking. Anyway, so Sydney though is unchanged. So Link's on the slosher now instead of the sloshing machine. When we've got next J-Splat, Para, and Drago also on the slosher. So once again, no anchors and all-out aggression. Can't wait.
Aggression is the aim of the game here, as MGJ gets that early splat onto Next, and another player is down on the side of Vortex. Let's make that 3 players down. The Cyclones, they have their opportunity. They have a power clam, and they have 14 plants in their economy, and they have a Kraken as well. The basket gets opened 30 seconds in, and they're just keeping it up.
Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to see here, but you can also see Para is able to get that crab up and is able to make life very, very difficult for the attacking team here in Sydney. So as you can see, like, Sydney was able to get in, but it's so easy for the defense to sort of reestablish themselves, especially when they got something like a crab. So a nice opening push to 74, but you're going to be wanting to extend your lead a lot more than that if you're Sydney.
Indeed, 74 is a very easily comebackable score, and we'll see. But Sydney Cyclones, they've once again got another power clam in their possession, and they've got 13 clams in their economy, but they're just getting pushed back.
There's the next flank. You called it.
They're getting Trizookas. They're getting specials thrown at them, but it's not going to be enough for them to break through. We're going to see the tactical come out from Lumi, and now they're going to try and find that to have 2 specials in their possession there, which is going to be very good at coming out and getting some picks out, coming out if they want to. There is that one.
How did Drago live? What was that? The reef slider moment, jeez. Oh yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of posturing over mid there, and culminating in a reef slider that did what reef sliders always do. But still, like, Melbourne attempting to push here, but it's just so easy for defending team to just walk up onto the ramp and have high ground to work with to clear out any attackers. So it's looking like nothing's going to... Oh, maybe. Never mind. Melbourne's moving in.
You spoke too soon, buddy. The lead has been switched, and Melbourne's in control. And they've got another power clan coming in, and they're going to jump it, and they're going to get in all the way down to 37. But with 2 players down, and but next comes in, gets a few more clans, is going to keep that basket open, but the wipeout is going to be the end of that push. But 28 all.
Yeah,
that
it's all
a push.
It's all about how well Sydney can take control of the game again here, because as you can see, they're already in position to start pushing this basket. That's what happens when you get a wipeout on defense. You can very quickly cross the stage, get a bunch of clams, and get ready to push again. But as you can see, Melbourne are able to make it back into defensive positions, making it very, very difficult for Sydney to gain any ground here.
Indeed, and Sydney, they need to make something happen. They need to make something happen fast. They don't have control at the moment, but they need to get these splats. Lumi gets it onto Drago. They're going to need to find a few more, though. They're 2 down a piece, and so are they. They're just trying to find any way they can break through. They need to get this game, or else it is game over for them. And now Lumi, they're just trying to find any way they can. Drago, though, is going to push up further with their slosher. They're going to try and find it, but they're going to get pincered between 2 players. Going to be able to back out of that, quite luckily for them. But they do have the special at the ready, which is going to allow them to get that push underway.
Here they go. They've got to deal with Mars, though. Mars able to take a big pick there. That's actually really important to slowing down this push. As you can see, Melbourne forced to back off here. There are going to be jumps coming in, but it seems as though Sydney's able to stabilize. Well, they're very close to getting in, but as you can see, like, the Melbourne's trying to push it. Oh, but this Trizooka, though.
Oh, but Link just using the slosher to its absolute potential. They're getting that spot, but next picks up the power clan, but they drop down, and now there's 3 players down on the Cyclones. This is going to really allow Melbourne Vortex to get this power clan and make a movement. 30 seconds left onto the clock. Sydney Cyclones are going to need to take a lot of control and do a lot of damage if they want to take and continue their possession in the league today. And now next, coming over on the flank, does get the splat, but they get splatted back. Link now just trying to find them, trying to get some splats. The J-Splat has the power clam. Are they going to be able to do anything with it? They get taken out. And now, final 10 seconds.
They don't have a power clan.
They need to get something. They have a few clans. They got 1 second, and that is it. Melbourne Vortex takes the lead 5-2.
And that's it. That's the set. Melbourne has done it. I mean, and not only off the back of an incredibly clever play there, you guys might have noticed, J-Splat could have thrown the clam in, and he didn't, because if he did, that gives Sydney a power clam in overtime. But he didn't throw it in, and he didn't need to, and that meant that there was no freebie clam for Melbourne for Sydney rather to have any hope of a push back in. So, to finish it that way with an incredibly clever play on J-Splat's part, incredibly well played by Melbourne. What a show they put on. I mean, they've they've shown incredibly strong play on Rainmaker and on TC and Clan Blitz, which we haven't actually seen a whole lot of their play on, and that's it. Thanks to that, they've won the $400 prize pool.
And you gotta be happy about taking all of that dough home. You can spend that G's getting some new fresh clothes, or maybe a new OLED Switch, or maybe they cost a bit too much. I don't know. I don't study the economy these days. But congratulations to Melbourne Vortex taking home the $400 and being crowned the champions of the Frostbite League. It was an incredible set, an incredible collection of games, and what a way to end it. We were close to getting a Game 9, but Melbourne Vortex just showing they've been a dominating force throughout the entirety of the league, and just today, wrapping up, Sydney Cyclones did take 2 games against them, but Melbourne Vortex, they just had them. They had the control, they had the dominance, and
Yeah, and I mean, it was a real team effort too. I mean, I think every player on Melbourne Vortex had some kind of game-winning play. Like, that was an incredibly good performance from every single player on the team, and they've absolutely earned their win here today.
Indeed, and I believe we have them in the voice chat right now. Melbourne Vortex, how do you feel about winning the Frostbite League?
Oh, so good. It feels
Fucking amazing.
fucking amazing.
So fucking good, actually.
Oh my gosh.
I still can't believe it.
Well, you better believe it. Congratulations to all of you, to Iska, J-Slat, Drago, Para, Nex, and A. You did such a great job getting through this set. You did take out 2 games, two losses to Sydney Cyclones, but being able to, you lost those 2 in a row, but then you got your momentum back, getting those last 3 games in a row, taking home that $400 prize pool. Oh, well done to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
first question: what are you going to spend it on?
That's a good question.
That's a really
This
good
economy,
question.
Not much.
Who knows? A Switch so his brother can play comp.
Oh yes, if we won, A's brother was gonna start playing Splatoon competitively. So
True.
Oh, hell yeah. So you pull the prize pool for a new Switch. Hell yeah, let's do it.
yes, sir.
Well, we can get more people into competitive Splatoon. That would always be great. Now, just something I wanted to dive into from that last game. You guys, obviously, a lot of these games have been very, very close, but that last Clan Blitz, Matt, just getting that 50 points in such a quick moment, like, who led that off? Who was the ones like, yes, let's do this. Let's just absolutely send it.
It wasn't really
It
like
was-
a concentrated decision. We all just kind of won our fights and saw the best opportunity we had to get the lead.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
it was definitely a really good display from you guys like that. So I think the thing I wanted to ask was, you guys made a lot of substitutions, and I know this is a thing that happens a lot through this league, but what was sort of the thought process behind a lot of those substitutions? Like, I know for the last couple of games you played without your anchor. But then also, it wasn't just, A out for Rainmaker, because she was playing on a lot of the Rainmaker maps and doing really well on them. So what was the thought process behind that?
If you want to answer, you're going to say why. We kind of just, they said that she didn't really want to play the Mako TC game, and then we kind of just took it from there. Just said, wasn't really confident on it. So, okay, we can just play full aggro with the cooler and just use that kind of game plan to take the games.
Awesome. Fair enough. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Like, TC Maker mod's not exactly fun for long range stuff.
No.
All right, so something else I was wondering. You guys, so you guys focused a lot on, like, obviously you got Next playing for you, so people are going to be expecting you guys to be a Rainmaker team, but you guys are actually incredibly strong on zones throughout the series. So throughout the league, that is. So was zones like a mode that you guys focused on a lot, or was it just sort of we kind of practice everything and just sort of take it as it comes sort of deal?
Definitely
well,
a sort of
wait.
practice everything.
Yeah, it's kind of we
Yeah,
just practice everything, and it just happened to appear that zones was apparently our best modes. Even though we weren't really like hardcore focusing on that particular mode, we just sort of like just train in every single mode and kind of see where we go from there.
We didn't actually know that we were undefeated in zones until you said that today.
Yeah, we were
Like,
shocked when we heard that.
yeah. So
Well, there you go. Now you know. I mean, you guys were kind of 4-0ing a lot of the teams, so that's understandable. But yeah, so what else was I going to ask? So you guys, how are you guys feeling with the patch, by the way? Because I think I can tell J Splat's pretty chuffed about it, but
it's a great time to be a V-Shot main, I'll tell you that.
I don't like dealing with it when I play Crab.
But personally, I feel like the V-Shot accuracy increase, I haven't really noticed that much. Like, obviously it's nice, but I think the big thing is the Zuka buff, and I think getting the extra 20 damage indirect is just so nice for getting extra picks, and it just makes it so much more consistent, which was the problem that it had beforehand. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
the
think it's
patch
definitely
only really
a
helped
good
us.
contender.
Wasn't anything we had to change really.
Well, thank you all for coming in, showing us what you've been made of, going throughout playing all of the weeks throughout the Frostbite League. Congratulations on taking home the crown and the $400. It's been a pleasure commentating for you today and with you, FLC.
pleasure's all mine, mate.
But that is going to be up for us today. We're going to hand it back over to Cookie to say a few more words before the Frostbite League is gone.
Hello, guys.
Well, we'll save that for the stuff. We could shout from the top of the rooftops as much as we like, but ultimately it's up to them. A lot of work goes into making the type of tournaments work, and huge kudos to the entire staff team for putting this together, because we don't get a lot of major events like this for the small region that we are. So huge props up to them. And yeah, we'll hand it back over to Cookie. Take it away.
Thank you very much, DJam. I appreciate that a lot. I basically, sometime in May, I was just like, we need a big tournament for this region, and no one's doing it. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna make some overlays. I'm gonna make some logos, and we're gonna run Firetail 2 was the plan. But this evolved to be its own thing. With it, like, its own competition. Splatoon 3 is crazy good for this. And I appreciate everybody's support on that. I appreciate the staff's support, because I found out that I'm really bad at running a tournament. I'm very good at the production, I think, judging by how well the streams ran, except for that drop-off there, thanks internet. And I appreciate Coco and Laddie and the entire staff team for having the tournament run so smoothly, while I handled all of the production. That was amazing. All your efforts are amazing. As for season 2, that depends on if we have people who want to keep doing it, if my wallet doesn't run dry, and if there's no tournaments going on, because AONZ championships are coming up, and that is going to be crazy. So maybe we're gonna... Frostbite is going to be an org, I think. As for Frostbite League, I don't know. We'll have to see. Depends on if people keep wanting it. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching the Frostbite League. Can't believe it's over. Congratulations to Melbourne for winning. I think Coco wants to say something as well, my co-commissioner. You got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, Frostbite's been a crazy experience. Definitely a new experience for me because, like, I mean, I've been TOing events for a while. I think I have to be eternally grateful that you were like, "Wow, I'm gonna make you a commissioner." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, because
you were
because
just like, "I'm gonna
you're
make you a commissioner."
a
I was
good
like, "What?"
tournament organizer.
I really want to shout out Lottie and Moe for being my top dogs. Okay, every time I call for Moe, she was goated. Okay, she was like, I'm gonna do it, and then Lottie, just the goat in general. Yeah, I think Frostbite's been a good experience for me, and I hope it's been a good experience for the players as well. Can I get some confirmation from Melbourne, real fast? Someone unmute and be like, yes.
Yeah, it's been
Absolutely.
absolute
Yes.
blast. I've had so much fun over the past
It was
6 weeks.
really fun.
I'm
That's
glad.
good to hear.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, it's good to hear. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, honestly, it's been a really good experience for me, and I think for the rest of the staff as well. But don't tune off yet. Okay, we are intending to have a staff grudge match next week. That's right. We're gonna have one final thing to go.
Yo,
We're gonna have a
what?
staff grudge match next week. So do tune in for that. We'll announce more details over the next week. And yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say except thank you for watching, thank you for playing, and
Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for
Yeah.
watching our streams. Thank you for literally just retweeting our post if you've done anything to like retweet.
yeah,
You're the goat.
follow us on Twitter for updates on anything that goes on in the future, because Frostbite OCE is our, I guess, Oceanic / Southeast Asian organization, and we want to run more stuff in the future. If you have any feedback on the streams, on the tournament, on anything you'd like to say, hit us up, man. We are on Twitter through the Frostbite League account. You can find us on Discord if you know where to look. Give us any feedback you have, and we would love to improve it for next time, whatever the event is. We want to run more events as Frostbite. Might not necessarily be the Frostbite League, but more stuff will be awesome if we have the people who want to help run it. So, yeah, any feedback would be amazing. And I'm done. I have no more words.
I'm at a loss for words, man. This event has been. probably,
Let's go!
like,
It
a
ran!
better
It went all the way
experience.
through!
Let's go!
All the way through!
So yeah, thank you for supporting the Frostbite stream. That's all we gotta say. That's all we gotta give for today.
Yeah, well, thank you for watching, and this has been the Frostbite League, Season 1. I'm
1.
Cookie, your commissioner.
I'm Coco, your co-commissioner.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.